Hey guys, welcome to my series where I play every single Wii U game that had any kind of physical release here in North America. If you want more details on the series, check out the preview video I made. I'll be leaving the preview video in the description for convenience. Let's get started on game number 2, Duck Tales Remastered. As the name implies, Duck Tales Remastered is a remake of the original 1989 Duck Tales released on the NES. This remastered was released on August 13th, 2013, developed by WayForward Technologies, and published by Capcom. I actually have played the original NES version on an emulator, but I think the only reason why I played it was to hear the Moon theme. I didn't get very far in it, but now's the time I finally get to fully complete this game with fancy new graphics and hopefully some quality of life improvements. Already starting off with a good first impression, the title music is a modern 8-bit rendition of the show's opening theme, and you know what, it sounds pretty good. There's only a single player mode for this game, so that's what I'm going to be playing and completing. I chose to play on the normal difficulty. I believe the other difficulties change how many lives and health you have at the start. It's a guess, I didn't really check. Here's one of the first major changes in the remastered: cutscenes. The opening shows the Beagle Boys blowing up and raiding Scrooge's money bin. Scrooge, of course, isn't taking that crap and goes in to stop them. This opening level is completely new and wasn't in the original game. It's essentially a tutorial stage helping you get used to Scrooge's movement and introducing you to the colorful cast of characters who will be present for a majority of the game. Scrooge is still rocking the same moves he had in the original, that being 3 moves. You can jump with the B button. While in the air, you can press the Y button to activate a pogo hop, which will increase jump height, break open chests, and kill enemies. Originally, you had to press down in conjunction with the button to bounce, but this remake just made it a one-button push instead. You can switch back to the original mode in the options menu if you prefer that style instead. Lastly, Scrooge can use his cane to whack blocks if you stand close enough to them. Good for moving objects or killing enemies. And that's pretty much it. Scrooge isn't very complex, but you know what, that's not a problem. If the game is fun, a small moveset isn't a big deal. I remember one major issue people had with this game when it first came out, and those were the cutscenes. There are a ton, and I mean a ton, of cutscenes in this game. You know, I get it, story purposes and all that, but there are way too many, and they are way too frequent. Even on this tutorial level, there are like 7 cutscenes. It can really break the flow of the gameplay. Luckily, you can skip them from the pause menu, which I think was later added in an update. I think when the game first came out, you could not skip them at all. I don't know why you can't just press like the B button to just skip them entirely, or there's just an option in the menu just to turn them off entirely as well. Oh well, at least there's an option to skip them just in case you've seen them, so that's a nice addition. Getting back to the tutorial, you rescue Huey, Dewey, and Louie from the Beagle Boys, ending in a fight with Big Time. He isn't too tough, but I did die to him because the projectiles he throws are much faster than I expected. The Beagle Boys were trying to steal a painting. Why? Well, it's revealed to have some kind of treasure map inside of it that leads to 5 very valuable pieces of treasure. These treasures are located in the Amazon, Transylvania, the African mines, the Himalayas, and the Moon. The Moon? I don't know why the Moon, but sure. Another new addition to this game is the hub area. There's admittedly not much to do here. You can take a dive in Scrooge's money vault, as well as purchase things like concept art with the money you can find throughout the levels. Now you can play any level in any order you want, a la Mega Man, thanks Capcom, but I decided to go down the list, starting with the Amazon. The big treasure to find in this level is the Scepter of the Incan King. Each level follows the same format, kind of. Think of it like a Metroidvania, just a bit easier and not as complex. You usually need to find X amount of objects before reaching some kind of entrance that will lead you to the treasure of that area. In the Amazon's case, you need to find 8 coins scattered across the level, hidden in big treasure chests. Another addition the remake has is a map. At least I think it's new, I'm not too sure on that one. Pausing the game will bring up the map and it will show you where some of the treasure is. It can be useful if you do get lost, like I did. However, I feel like they had a missed opportunity here to always have the map showing on the gamepad. The gamepad just displays what's on the TV. It's kind of a letdown. I think having the map on the gamepad could be a big plus, because you wouldn't have to pause constantly to see the map. Anyways, the Amazon level it's alright. Some of the enemies can be annoying, like the plants you cannot kill with a normal bounce. Instead, you have to find this, like, power star thing, like Mario. You find it sometimes, there's usually like one in a level, It lasts for like 5 seconds. You can usually mow down enemies pretty quickly with that. You also have enemies like bees that spawn on the side of the screen, which can be annoying. They're kind of like the Medusa heads from Castlevania. This level also teaches you one thing that the tutorial didn't. Scrooge's pogo jump, you can actually bounce on spikes to avoid damage entirely. At some point in this level, I actually found Mrs. Beakley. Coming across her can be a real lifesaver because she'll give you food to restore your health, and she'll give you an extra life. Well, thanks, Mrs. Beakley. Once you've collected all the coins, the launchpad can help you across a bottomless pit so you can enter the temple. At the end of the temple lies the scepter, but surprise! Boss fight. The boss fight isn't super tough. The stone head from the statue will slide around and slam the ground to damage you, and it can manipulate the walls, floor, and ceiling to crush you. I was close to dying here, and dying isn't something I want because losing all your lives has you start the level all over again. Sure, the levels aren't long, but with the mixture of the cutscenes, they can feel a lot longer, but at least, you can skip them. With that out of the way, the villagers here, the Incan villagers, I guess, they give us the scepter. It fell out of the temple, and they just give it to us because I guess we broke a curse or something. Well, thanks guys. Treasure number 1 obtained. Next up is a Transylvania. That was a terrible accent. To find the coin of the Lost Realm. At the start of this level, all of the boys get dumped into a trapdoor, and it's up to Scrooge to find them before they get, I don't know, eaten by scary ghosts and mummies. Do ghosts really need to eat? I mean, they're just ghosts. It's not like they have stomachs or anything. This level I like a lot more than the Amazon level. First, the music in the stage slaps. Not saying the Amazon had bad music, the music in the Amazon level was also pretty good. In fact, the entire soundtrack to this game is really good. It's just modern 8-bit remixes, and they all sound great. But the second reason why I like this level is just, the creepy mansion theme is just a better level to me than, a jungle. Just more aesthetically pleasing to me. This stage has its own unique features in comparison to the last level. There are invisible walls that will lead to secrets, a minecart section similar to Donkey Kong Country, even though this predates it by a few years, and grave robbing. You'll eventually come across Scrooge's nephews who are being held inside of a cage by these quote-unquote ghosts. Big surprise, the ghosts are actually the Beagle Boys. Each one drops a piece of rune used to open up a secret path leading to the coin. During this level, I actually found an extra hit point, which is nice. Don't know if there was one in the Amazon level, but the more health, the better. After getting all 3 pieces of the rune, turns out Magicka Dispel was messing with you the whole time during this level, and then you then fight her in a pretty cool boss fight. I didn't die here because Magicka is just generous enough to spawn health in during one of her attacks. With her defeated, the coin is ours. Next up, the African mines to find the giant diamond of the inner earth. This level is the shortest and the most straightforward out of all the levels. With the exception of the lift key you find at the start, the main goal is just to reach the bottom. You don't have to collect X amount of items or anything like that. I also got an extra heart container after exiting the lift on the left side, and the right side I get an extra life from Beakley. Well, that's nice. I honestly really don't have much to say about this level. It's, a pretty solid level overall. The boss of this stage is the Terraform King, the guy who caused all the miners of this area to flee in fear. His fight is, it's alright. He'll roll up into a ball and roll around the stage, and you can only hit him when he's not rolling. His only annoying attack is when he summons hundreds of other terraform creatures, and I always get hit by them. After defeating him, you obtain the 3rd treasure, the diamond. Next up, the Himalayas, to find the lost crown of Genghis Khan. The level started me in this cloud area. I guess it was a bonus, but I fell off quickly because I collided with the cloud and fell off. To no one's surprise, Launchpad crashes the plane and we're stranded on the mountain. Launchpad then tells us he'll have the plane fixed up in no time, but the fuel regulator he dropped, so now it's up to us to go get it. The level started off as annoying because the snow on the ground prevents you from pogo hopping, so I got hurt quite a bit here. Scrooge eventually comes across the fuel regulator, but a bunch of rabbits take it apart and scatter. So now you need to find all 3 rabbits and take back the pieces. The 3 pieces aren't too tough to find, but the cavern areas of the stage can be a bit tricky to navigate, thanks to the giant spiders, icicles, icy floors, and the mighty ducks. Wait, the mighty ducks, why are they here? I also came across Bubba Duck down here. He was nice enough to break the ice blocks that stood in my way, And that's his only purpose and is never really mentioned again. Sure, you saved him from the Ice Cavern, and he is in the background in future cutscenes, but yeah, he doesn't do anything. Well, see ya, Bubba. After I obtain all the pieces, I return back to Launchpad and we finally fly to our destination. But along the way there, Glomgold appears, looking for the same treasure, because of course he is. This fight is pretty simple. Glomgold will shoot bombs onto the plane and you need to bat them away so they'll hit him instead, because that works somehow. Most of the damage I received from this fight was from the Beagle Boys that drop in on occasion, but this isn't the last part of the stage. I should mention this now, after I beat Glomgold, the sound got all glitchy and weird.
Definitely wasn't me.
Whatever it is, it won't last long if it tries to get between me and the lost crown.
Uncle Scrooge, no!
It was very strange. It was a very weird audio bug. The real boss of the stage is this giant snow beast, and he can be pretty tough. He'll jump around, sometimes forward or straight up. All you need to do is run underneath him and whack a rock at the ice on the ceiling after he punches the wall. The jumps he can perform are pretty hard to tell, so expect to get hit a lot. With the snow beast defeated, we obtain the crown, and that audio glitch that happened earlier, it lingered after the fight too because this happened. Yeah, that's not... Oh, man. Ooh. Yeah, no. Okay, well, after that ear-splitting sound, the final stage, the moon, to find the green cheese of longevity, which is apparently hidden away in a giant moon vault. Don't know why the moon has a vault, but let's just roll with it. The moon is probably the most well-known stage out of the whole game, mainly because of the music, and the music is really good here. So before you can enter the vault, you need to find 3 pieces of the Gizmo Duck suit, which was beamed away at the start by aliens, along with Fenton. Before you can get any of the pieces though, you need to rescue Fenton and disable the barriers on the ship, which isn't too tough to do. So this first half of the moon level is... it's fine. It's honestly nothing too amazing, but it's not a bad level. The music makes it much more exciting, let me tell you. After getting all 3 pieces, we're able to break into the moon vault, but surprise, the Beagle Boys storm the vault, and Glomgold is here too. Somehow. I guess he got some of that oxygen-flavored taffy Gyro gave us to breathe on the moon. Sure. Climbing down the vault isn't super exciting, but I did find another heart container giving me 6 hit points. The boss of the stage is a giant rat. One of the trapped rats from earlier ate the cheese and mutated. A rat is probably the weakest boss in the game in terms of design. All he does is run around super fast. It's, again, not a terrible boss, but it's just not as good as the other ones. But with the rat defeated, we get the cheese, the 5th and final treasure. So, we're done, right? Nope. After getting the last treasure, Glomgold somehow got in and stole the other 4 pieces of treasure along with the boys. Scrooge offers all 5 pieces of the treasure for their safety, but before the deal is finished, they are all frozen in place by Magicka, who reveals that all 5 pieces of the treasure are ingredients to resurrect Count Dracula Duck. The painting at the start was sold to Scrooge by Magicka for a measly $5. I guess it was convenient that the Beagle Boys tried to steal that exact painting to trigger this quest to get the treasure. But, more on that in a bit. Magicka then transports the boys somewhere else, and then turns the Beagle Boys into pigs. Magicka will give back Scrooge's nephews if he brings her his #1 dime. Scrooge makes another deal with Glomgold to help get his nephews back, but Glomgold isn't a very trustworthy guy, as you can probably guess. The true final level, which was not in the original, is called Mount... Vesuvius. It's a big volcano level. This level is brutal, consisting of the more annoying enemies like the skeletons and the bats from the Transylvania level. There are some tricky jumps to do and a lot of instant kill spots. I actually got a game over quickly on this level because of the minecart section. You need to time your jump at the very last second or else you fall and die. Keep in mind, when you do get a game over, you have to replay the whole level and sit through the cutscenes. Again, not a big deal. At least for now. Scrooge and Glomgold finally reach Magicka, but just before Scrooge can hand over his dime, Glomgold takes it away from him. I knew it! Turns out Glomgold and Magicka were in cahoots this whole time. What a twist. I guess this whole scheme was planned so that Scrooge would buy a cheap painting and then the Beagle Boys would try to steal said painting, which revealed the treasure map, to then collect all 5 pieces of ancient treasure to then resurrect Dracula Duck. It's a bit complex, but I guess it worked. The final boss is, of course, Dracula Duck, or his real name, Drake von Vladstone if you prefer. Probably the best boss in the game in my opinion. He starts off by summoning bats from his cloak. You need to jump on the bats to reach him and hurt him. After each hit, Magicka will throw a potion into the pot, which will transform Drake into one of 3 things. The first is a giant, where you need to avoid his fangs by ducking under his bill or avoiding it entirely. A dragon, which will spit these curved fireballs, which will always land where you are currently standing. And the most annoying one, and the one that she uses the most of course, the giant wall of bats you need to avoid by walking to the spot where there are a couple missing. I always got hit during this phase because I would sometimes walk just a little too far or not far enough. It was annoying. After 3 hits, Drake will summon 2 bats at once. You need to hop on to reach him. The potions still remain the same. After enough hits, Drake is defeated and the boys are saved. But we're not done yet. We still need our dime back. In this part, you need to race to the top before Magicka and Glomgold. The first time I did this, I failed. I was panicking at this part because being under some kind of time limit gets me stressed, because of course it would. Got a game over and had to replay the entire stage again. After going through the whole stage again and fighting Drake again, I reached the top. But it's still not over. Now you need to climb chains that will break after a few seconds to avoid rising lava. If you can guess, I got another game over. And it's time to replay the stage again. Went through the whole stage again, fought Drake again, raced to the top again, and finally, after like 4 tries, I beat it. The ending is Glomgold and the Beagle Boys being sent to jail, Magicka I guess got away, and Scrooge buying the boys some ice cream. This time with some actual ice cream in it. And that's the game. You can go back and replay the stages to collect more money to buy all the concept art, if you wish. But yeah, that completes my playthrough of Duck Tales Remastered. Gotta say, it was finally nice to finish this game after I first played it all the way back in 2016. I don't know why it took me this long to do so, but whatever. It's better late than never, I guess. Now, for the scoring. Gameplay, I'm gonna give it a nice 3.5 out of 5. The gameplay is a faithful enough recreation to the original, while adding a few new features to make the experience just a bit longer. The change to the pogo jump was also a nice touch. It doesn't get a super high grade here because those cutscenes really break the flow of the game, and getting a game over during a stage can really suck, especially with the lack of finding extra lives. Presentation gets a nice 4 out of 5. The sprite work for the main cast as well as the enemies look great and they are animated very well. Even the original voice actors all reprise their roles here. The levels look nice. Some parts of this game do look a bit cheap, especially the helicopter that takes you to each level, but very nice overall. And the music is really good. Check it out. The fun factor I'll give a 3.6 out of 5. I was going to give it a 4 out of 5, but that last level was kind of annoying and replaying it over and over again killed my mood. But the rest of the game is still fun. Finally, replayability gets a 3 out of 5. The only thing really to get after you beat the main story is the concept art and, a bunch of other little things like music. But, it's not really anything that I just can't search up on Google or YouTube, so to me it's not really worth it. I mean, the game itself is worth replaying, but, not as often as you might think, or, something like an RPG. So the final score for Duck Tales Remastered is a 3.525 out of 5, or just a 3.5. Not a bad score if I do say. I'm glad I was able to experience this game in full after so many years, but something tells me I won't be revisiting it as much as I thought. The soundtrack though, you bet I'll be playing that over and over again. But now with that done, let's spin the wheel and see what we get next. Alright, it's time to spin the wheel of mythicality and see what we get next. I was close to getting Sonic Boom last time. I really hope that doesn't happen again. Let's go! No Sonic Boom, no Sonic Boom, no Sonic Boom, no Sonic Boom! Super Mario 3D Worlds? Why not Worlds? Anyway, Super Mario 3D World is the next game. We'll see you guys then.